I watched something, and he said, this is what turns players into kings. And it dawned on me for a long time what the expression meant. For years, I toted around Hollywood. For years, I toted around Hollywood like everybody else, tiptoes around Hollywood.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't want to piss nobody off. I didn't really want to ask for more money. I didn't want to do this. And then one day, you snap. Something really happens in your brain, and you cover all your bases and you work harder. But it's called sacrifice.
Mm.
You know, I don't think people, especially people like Lee, know what sacrifice is. Sacrifice is a big word to get to the next level. I don't give a fuck what anybody tells you. You have a mom?
Mm-hmm.
Steve's mom?
Yeah.
Is your mom alive?
Yes, thank God.
Is your dad alive?
Thank God.
You have your brothers, your siblings?
Yep.
Where do they live?
3,000 miles away.
That's sacrifice.
Absolutely.
You don't need this. You don't need on a Monday night to be sitting between a Jew and a Cuban getting tormented in fucking North Hollywood, California to go to the comedy store to pick up a check for $15.
Absolutely.
Your parents married, your grandparents migrated here to this country for you to be a better thing.
Yep.
Your brother became a dentist. I'm not putting you down.
No, you're right.
I'm not saying these. But you sacrificed
Absolutely.
this. You slept with fat fucking James in his apartment, smelling his fat fucking feet in his ass.
For 4.5 years.
Which were worse than those Jews on the plane.
I didn't have a car. I
Ass.
took the bus for 6 years.
It's
I didn't
called
have a car.
sacrifice.
Yeah.
Sacrifice is when all
3
your
jobs.
friends go home for Christmas.
Yeah.
And
And
you
I'm
have to
working at the
spend
Hollywood gym night shift.
It bothers
graveyard
me
shift.
that nobody understands that. You know, I had a dear friend die 3 weeks ago. Not dear.
sorry.
No. It was a friendship that I loved her dearly, and alcohol and mental health took her somewhere else. It's a very sad thing. I had a blocker on my phone.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and tell you, you know, she was my best friend in the world. I had a blocker off my phone. I got too many things in my life for you to be calling me 18 times while I'm on stage.
Right.
To break my fucking balls. And I got a little slack for it for not going to the memorial this week. Okay? But I also remember where these people came from. These people moved to Colorado, to Los Angeles in a group. They went 15 deep out of Houston, Texas. But nobody wanted to sacrifice. They didn't want to sacrifice the most important things for the most important thing, the reason why you're here.
Yeah.
You know, before I got on stage Saturday night, there was these great, funny guys, and they're like, hey, man, we brought you reefer, we brought you this, where are we going tonight? And I go, I can't fucking go nowhere. I got a 5:45 flight to New York, and they're like, can't you call your wife and put it off for one? I told them, I go, this has nothing to do with my wife. I don't give a fuck about my wife. This has to do with me. Because that means I gotta fly out at 12 to get home at 6. I'm not gonna have any sleep.
Gone.
My kid, plus I got an audition Monday morning.
Right.
You know, oh no, I'm just gonna steam it and get off the plane and go to CBS Radford. And after I stayed out with fucking people smoking dope and talking about nothing,
Right.
because at the end of the day, that's what you're doing, is talking
You're
about
absolutely
nothing.
right.
And I did this. I wasted that time for fucking 30 years. I'm not gonna sit here and get on a high horse and tell you, no. I wasted enough fucking time. But in this town, once I took control of me,
Yeah.
I always sacrificed.
Yeah.
I made the biggest sacrifice. I looked at a 5-year-old little girl one day in a park, and I told her that I'm really thinking of going away for a while, that I think it would be better. And she spit in my face, my daughter. My daughter that's 27 years old. When I told her about my dream, she spit in my face on a bicycle. And that was the biggest sacrifice I made. I made a sacrifice to say, I'll give up my daughter to do something with my life, okay? And then I came here, and while these people were all drinking early,
Yeah.
even though I was a junkie coke fiend, I could hold off till 11:30, 12. And do
I
a spot at the
remember
store.
you doing late night sets and being up. Call me once because you found something on the breakdowns. You were waking up early, going over the breakdowns on your own.
No, I was an animal. And I didn't go to weddings, and I didn't go to wakes, and I didn't do a lot of things.
Yep.
And I'm sure along the way I disappointed a lot of people.
Yeah.
Because I didn't attend their wedding or whatever function they had, or because they had a party. You know, when this changed, it's because my head changed.
Explain that.
My head changed. It snapped. You realize, but this happened way before Mercy. This was happening 2 years before I met Lee.
Okay.
I always sacrificed. Let's get something wrong.
Yeah, you
Let's
were
get
always
something
paying
straight.
dues.
I always sacrificed. I sacrificed holidays. Let me tell you something. This weekend when I went home, and I saw my friends, and I saw like Steve Avillo and Alan Pasquale and fucking Carlos and Abe Garcia, I realized something. That yes, I'm very happy out here, but I'm very lonely out here.
Yes.
They're a different type of breed. This is
Yes.
this is what home is all about.
I agree with you. I
Those
know
kids
exactly
I
what you
grew up
mean.
with, and
You can't replace that.
they
Somebody
can't-
that
you
knew what
can
you
ne-
were at
Yeah.
Halloween in second grade.
No.
They remember what your house smelled like on a Sunday.
Yeah, you cannot replace that. So I see all these guys, and when I got on the plan, I go, that's what I sacrifice. And don't get me wrong, I made a lot of mistakes to force myself to leave there in a subtle way. I wanted to leave there like I couldn't. I was embarrassed. I
Right.
wouldn't have ever became anything there. I knew
Yeah,
I had to
I
leave.
had the same feeling.
But the sacrifice I had was to lose my friends, to not have them in my life. Timmy Holloway, those type of people.
The weddings you missed, the
The
birthdays, you
weddings,
missed,
the birthdays,
christenings,
the
first
parties.
Holy
I missed all
Communions.
that shit.
Yeah.
So that was the first sacrifice I made. Then I sacrificed my relationship with my daughter. I knew when I got in that car and I left Boulder, I wasn't coming back. And deep in my heart, I knew that I would just get in trouble there. I would just end up in a bad position there. And it was time for me to cleanse myself of all that. And if this relationship, I prayed to God, I wanted to prove to her that I was worth something.
The long-term goal was
The
bigger than
long-term
the short-term
goal. Yeah.
satisfaction.
Absolutely.
They say the secret to success is delaying gratification. And you know if you stayed there, you couldn't be the person you would be proud
not
of.
at all. Not at all.
So then you wanted to do something with your life to show her how much you really do love her. That's what I'm getting from it. You got to do that sometimes.
It was fucking real. Like, it was just something that, you know, I sacrificed. I remember, you know, Josh Wolf, dear friend of mine, all those years had parties on Saturday nights with his family, and Scott Wolf and all these other actors and the singers from the Counting Crows. That didn't mean anything to me.
Right.
I was at the Comedy Store. You know what? I had to get $50, so I would go down and do Felipe's room and then get to the Comedy Store for my 11:45 on Saturday, and then, you know, you sacrificed. And I partied. I'm not gonna lie to you but even though I partied, I made my auditions. I took care of things. I took care of things the best I could.
Yeah.
After I got off the coke, like in 2009, before I married Terry, is where this picture became clearer to me that I even had to sacrifice more. Like, I had to sacrifice more. Like, I went to Weight Watchers. I joined karate with the brothers in 2007. I was going there. I was 380 when I walked in there. I remember doing horse stances and my knees would fucking burn. They would make you do these dragon stances where you drag one foot and kneel on this one. I would have to go home and put 2 bags of fucking ice on my knees. But I knew that these were the little sacrifices I had to make to get to where I wanted to be. It was the weirdest fucking thing.
Was that just like an intuition that you had? It was kind of
I
like
went back
God
to my
talking to
karate
you?
days. I went back to how successful I was when I attended karate. From the ages of 6 to the age of 15.
Wow, you did it your whole childhood.
Yeah, when I dropped out of karate was when I got left back in the 7th grade.
Mind, body, soul.
That
all of it.
reconfirmed everything. So I knew for me to get back to my mental state, I had to pick a martial art. I looked for a Kempo school. I couldn't find one. So the best kept secret in Hollywood was this guy, this style of Kung Fu mixed with Kempo, the Hawaiian Kempo. And it just made me get loose. I just went to get my day started. And I said to myself, for me to do this and be successful, nothing could take the place of this unless I'm picking up an envelope.
Yes. Build your foundation.
So I went back to The War of Art, The Art of War, whatever that book is. I went back to, if I'm not doing something good for me, I'm in the house writing, and there's no resistance. The only way I can get out of Kung Fu is if I'm making money. Or it's something to make money, not to meet somebody about a script.
I
Everything
find myself wasting so much
everything
time.
gets pushed back. Everything gets pushed back for this. Nothing is as important as that. And I started with that. If I could do it just on Mondays, then I would go Mondays and Tuesdays. And I wasn't on the road then.
Yeah.
So I would go 3 days a week. By Friday, my knees would be swollen. Then I popped the one knee and I got knee surgery and I went to weight, But you sacrifice so many little things along the way. There was a lot of times, yes, I wanted to go meet Faberman and this guy and go get sandwiches. And you don't do that anymore because that time is for writing now.
Yeah.
And you know that time is dictated to writing. That's what that time is about. You know, tonight after dinner, for about 35 minutes, I always go in and I look over the book.
That's great.
And I write 2 sentences. And even though I want to sit there with my wife and watch World News Tonight, there's nothing on World News Tonight that's going to change my life anymore. The first 15 minutes are about Russia or something stupid that's not going to do anything at all to me. But it's amazing that people think they're really going to get ahead in this life without making sacrifices. It drives me crazy.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy how you have to, you know what? Yes, on paper, life is Monday through Friday. Well, that's a great thought. That's a great fucking thought. That's a great thought. But when you're 44, you're going to find yourself $30,000 in credit card debt.
Yeah.
On a fixed fucking income. And if you get a flat tire, you're done for the fucking month.
Yep.
Because you leave your credit cards just enough room for emergencies and all that shit.
Yep.
And how do you know? Because it happened to me.
Yep.
When these 9 to 5 motherfuckers, especially from the ages of 20 to 35, unless you're making a lot of fucking loot, there's no 9 to 5 in my world. I don't understand that shit. You know, and again, that's what I had to learn the hard way.
All right.
You know what I'm saying? Those are the things that we think society, no. You know, when you're first training in your job, remember you work Saturdays, and it sucks when you're a kid.
Yep.
It sucks working Saturdays when you're a kid. Especially like going out on Friday night and drinking some vodka and tonics and
waking up hungover.
Coming in late to your house. It sucks waking up when you're in the fucking a junior in high school to go sell paint or work at fucking Foot
construction
Locker.
Site or something.
Yeah, it sucks. But then for a while, you're young and you're a football fan and you're like, well, I'll never work on Sundays. Well, think again, bitch. That shit's going to sail pretty fucking soon, you know?
Especially in high school. Like, the jobs you can get in high school. I worked at a CVS. I worked at a movie theater. You have to be there early. What about, like, I can't imagine working at a coffee place where you have to be there by, like, 3 in the morning?
They open up this one here, 4:30, the drive-thru opens.
Wow.
So what time do you think people get there to open it up?
3:45.
Oh, my God.
Turn all the buttons on. Yeah, but you figure you're out of there by 10 if you're a student. That's a sacrifice. If you're a student, like, you should be busy all the time.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a student, a real student, and you're putting yourself through, or you have a couple loans and your parents are helping you, you got to have a job. I would work at Starbucks from 4 to fucking... And what do you sacrifice? Your stupid nightlife.
It's amazing how you get the one puzzle piece and it makes other ones fall in line.
Right, and fucking falls
in line because now you can't make as many dumb decisions because now you have the responsibility of being up early. All those things start to change your life. You get karate down, and then your body starts getting stronger, and then your mind gets stronger. And it all works together.
And
it's amazing.
And it's so weird because you'll say to yourself, well, I really can't do that because this is what I do on those days. And all of a sudden you're like, you know what? Doing what I was doing didn't bring me anything.
Yeah.